Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name's Tanya, and today we're going to make something that you probably have seen before on a menu, and if you're a fan of it, you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how easy it is to make. This is called Muffuletta, and some people say Muffuletta, some people say Muffuletta. In Arkansas, I normally hear it Muffuletta, but no matter how you pronounce it, it is a sandwich that has different kinds of lunch meat on it. Salami, Italian, I think Genoa salami, ham. It has provolone, it has Swiss, but it has what's called an olive salad that is really what makes the sandwich. It is so good. And places like Jason's Deli, one of my favorites, it actually sells this in slices. I have made it to where I make a big loaf of sourdough bread, slice it in half like a hamburger bun, like this way, hollow it out, put all my ingredients on it, put the top back on it, wrap it in foil, bake it in the oven to where everything gets hot, then you slice it. That's if you have a lot of people. But what I'm going to show you how to do today is just grill it on an individual basis. So what we'll do is we'll make up our olive salad and then put it in the refrigerator to use when needed. So tonight we're planning on having grilled muffuletta sandwiches. So it's kind of like a grilled cheese, but made with the olive salad, but the cheese is melted and the meat gets hot. So anyway, stick around. I think you're going to enjoy this. The salad's real easy to put together. It's just a little bit of chopping, so it's not bad, but it turns out really good. But you can use it. It stores for really well for a couple of weeks in the refrigerator, at least. I know that for a fact. So anyway, hope you enjoy it. All right, get our stuff out right here. Here's my bowl to put everything in. Set my carrot over here. I try to get everything out ahead of time, but that doesn't always work out like I think it's going to. The first thing we're going to add to our mix is a cup of pimento stuffed olives. These are just plain pimento stuffed olives, but these are queen olives because I just thought the big ones look better. For some reason, there's obviously an ingredient in it in the other ones that I wasn't big on, so we just got the queen ones. Just rough chop these. Again, it's gonna be a salad to put on a sandwich, so it doesn't have to be super smooth, but if you just want it something like a spread, then by all means, chop it up super fine or even put it in a blender and puree it all up. Next ingredient we have is a 1/4 cup of black olives, also known as ripe olives. There's definitely a different flavor to the olives, but the black ones are the ripe ones. I'm gonna rough chop these as well. Sorry, had to get a rag, can't stand a mess. Next ingredient is about 7 to 7.5 ounces of marinated artichoke hearts. Now, if you can't find marinated ones, if you just have regular canned artichoke hearts, that's fine. These are just, I don't remember them making this small of a jar, but I did find it recently. In fact, I just went this morning to the store to pick this up, this silly ingredient that I didn't have on hand. So I was glad to see the smaller jar. Otherwise, I just have to come up with something else to make using the other half can of artichoke hearts, which isn't difficult, but if I can just buy one that's the amount that I need right now, makes it better. Next ingredient is 1 stalk of celery. And I'm not talking about a full bunch of celery. I'm talking about 1 stalk. So cut the ends off of it. Next ingredient is a half a teaspoon of minced garlic, and that may be all I have in this jar. I have a little bit more than that. So half a teaspoon. And then we're going to grate 1 carrot. I've already washed and scrubbed this carrot. I'm not a big fan of peeling carrots. I just don't like that much waste, but I do like scrubbing them with it's a dish scrubber, but it has kind of a rough texture to it. Next ingredient is 2 tablespoons of olive oil. This is just regular organic extra virgin olive oil. We're going to use 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar. A half a teaspoon of dried oregano. The jar made a noise about the time I started talking, so I wanted to make sure that was clear. Half teaspoon of dried oregano. Just a little bit of fresh ground black pepper. And that is all of our ingredients. Now this is just the salad. This is not, of course, the entire meal. This is just the salad. This needs to sit in the refrigerator and let all the flavors kind of incorporate and get soaked into the carrot, and everything kind of tastes the same in there. Just put it in the refrigerator in a container that's sealable and let it chill for several hours. So we're going to come back later on. In the meantime, I'm going to go out and do some yard work because it is absolutely beautiful outside and I'm ready to get out in that sun. So I'm going to go out there and get dirty and stinky and then come back in and make grilled Muffuletta sandwiches for dinner tonight. So stick around and you get to watch us grill some sandwiches after a while. And this is what our salad looks like now. So we'll be back in just a bit. Okay, so I got in the middle of doing this and thought, you know what, somebody might just be interested in this and not know how to put it together. So this is kind of the steps I do ahead of time just to keep from doing this right before our guests come over. I don't want them to feel like they're interrupting something, but at the same time, I want to be able to devote my attention to them and not to prepping things. So anything I can prep ahead of time, it's going to get done. So what I'm doing is taking my Muffuletta ingredients and putting them together. The parts that I can put together, I'm putting together. So I have Swiss cheese. I'm putting that on the bottom. I'm separating all this by wax paper just to keep them from sticking together. Okay, that package is empty. Now I've got uncured ham. We'll put 2 slices of that on each sandwich. I'll put the provolone on there. And this is not smoked provolone, but you could use smoked provolone if you want. I just prefer the regular on these. And then I have uncured salami. I think this is Genoa salami. And because the meat and the cheese, they play a role in the sandwich, but they're not really kind of the star of the show. It's the olive salad that's the star of the show. So it's by far going to be the best part of it, I think, anyway. So I'm going to put this back in there. I'll that back in the fridge. And then I'm covering these up. So here's what I have. I have 4 sandwiches worth there and 4 sandwiches worth here. I'd rather have too many than not enough, just because you can always wrap these in parchment and stick them in the oven, or just put them in a ceramic container with a lid, put them in the oven and reheat them, and they're fabulous that way. It doesn't matter. But I'd rather have too many and somebody say, oh, I can't eat another sandwich, rather than them go, you know what, I wish I had another one, but she didn't make enough. So always have too much. So we have this ready. So all I have to do now is butter my bread. I have homemade sourdough in the fridge. It's ready to go. I've cut in slices, and I'll butter that bread, and we'll grill all those at one time. I'll put them on a platter, put them in the oven, keep them warm while everything else is heating up, and when our guests arrive, we're ready to eat. So just thought you'd like to know. Okay, so for the sake of, I don't want to be doing this when our guests walk in, I'm going to just demonstrate one of these, and then you'll know how it's done. I'm going to set my griddle to about 400. This is a ceramic griddle. It's not coated in Teflon. It's coated in ceramic. And I was so excited when I found that silly thing. Now they have them pretty much at most major retailers, but at the time that I bought this, they didn't have it hardly anywhere, so I still like it though. But my friend who caters a lot has used it so much, and it's got a boo-boo there on the cord where we accidentally got it too close to the griddle one night when we were doing grown-up grilled cheese for a wedding reception or something. But it still works great. Okay, that's getting pretty numb. I gotta keep checking this, make sure I still have this in view. So if you see the camera moving around, it's just because I'm trying to figure out how to get a better view of it. Okay, I think that does it. All right, so I got my butter softened a bit. This is some Kerrygold butter that I keep in this little container. It's like my fancy butter. But you can use whatever butter you have. So we'll put that on the griddle. It starts warming up. And I think I'm going to put my olive salad on first. Why don't you look at that? See what it looks like. This has been sitting overnight. When I made this yesterday, I thought I was going to serve this for dinner last night, and then I got to playing in the yard and I was too stinky and dirty and couldn't come in and cook, so we just had something else for dinner. And then I had the idea of calling friends and ask them to come over and share it with us, so that's what we're doing tonight. All right, so I'm not gonna lie to you, this is messy. When I say messy, it goes all over the place. So you're gonna have it on the griddle and all over the place, but it's worth it, trust me. And especially when you flip these over, that's just a mess. But somehow enough stays on there where it's edible. And it's so good. Again, so good. Okay. Let's see now, I should have brought a rag over here to keep my hands wiped off. All right, we'll get out our little pre-made. I feel like I work at Subway or something. I think they do this at Subway. Golly, I don't even know. I bet it's been 15 years since I've been in a Subway restaurant. But I think this is what they used to do. I remember correctly. Okay, just kind of break off any pieces of cheese that you think are going to be hanging over the edge too much, because it's definitely going to melt and fall onto the griddle. Well, that worked out pretty nicely, didn't it? I'd call that a win right there. All right, so we're going to butter the other side of our bread, or the other piece of our bread, I should say. Make sure you get it going the right direction. Don't butter the part that's going toward the inside. Now, if you do not have access to homemade sourdough, then I would say your best bet is to go to a store and see if you can find some San Francisco sourdough. That's kind of the style of the bread, and it's probably made near San Francisco because it picks up the flavors of that ocean air, and it's just really, really good sourdough bread. But in the stores, I remember in the past, I used to find, and I think it was at our big store in town, you know which one I'm talking about, the W. They had what was called gold miners. Okay, I'm going to turn this griddle down to 350 now that it's preheated, or heated up a lot, I should say. But they had what was called gold miners sourdough, and it was kind of authentic San Francisco sourdough, and it was so good. So if there's any way you can find that, that would be worth it. Or if you have access to a Panera, they have really good sourdough, and they will probably be happy to slice that for you. But just a really good sourdough is a must for this. It's just not going to be the same on regular white bread. It'll be a good sandwich probably, but it's not going to be the same as a genuine muffuletta that's served on sourdough. I'm hoping you can see that well. See if I can get this turned up a bit. If you have a panini press, these would also work in those. That would be kind of fun to do it in a panini press. Looking good on the bottom. All right, I'm gonna flip this over. See if anything falls out. Yep, we got stuff falling out. That's okay. We're gonna slide it back in there. And that bread is hot on that side. That's just a breadcrumb right there. Lands, it's coming out all over the place. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, this gives you an idea of what's going on, how to make these. There's several different options. Just Google Muffuletta and it'll tell you how to, make it the original way, where they had the big round loaf of bread. You cut it in half like a hamburger bun, and then you hollow it out, put all your ingredients in there, layer up the meat and cheese, then put your olive salad on it, put the top back on, wrap it in parchment and foil, and bake it in the oven. Then you can slice it. But you don't get this toasted crust on here like you do when you grill it like this. So anyway, whatever is something that you would try, I would encourage you to. It's really a good sandwich. Invite somebody over to share it with you. And thank you for watching. And we look forward to sharing something with you again soon.